Getting fourth year, young will stand off. Outnumbered, outgunned, supplies running low. But we're cut deeper than any blade though. Listen, yo, cow staring down the dragon in the north. You and Shaw's 100,000 horde, mighty force of course. But food running thin like the thread of a curse. Soldiers exhausted, morale about to burst into Uxuyu. Defector switching sides with the truth. Frontal assault, suicide, that's uncouth. Hit him where it hurt, woo child. The grain depot loose like the fence. One raid, watch the giant reduce. Cow move silent, night march, banners borrow from the foe. Gad horses, no sound, elite shadows in the glow. Bundles of kindling, torches ready to ignite. Strike the source, not the surface. Remove the firewood from under the pot. Right, flames kiss the barn, smoke choke the sky black. Chun Yukong drunk and done, can't fight back. You and hear the news and rescue too late in the game. Brain turned to ash, army starved, morale set aflame. See the pot was boiling hot with superior might, but without the fire beneath, water cool overnight. 100,000 warriors turn ghost in the wind. Flee for regime collapse, end of his kin. Cow master the indirect, destroy what sustain. Not clash, still on steel, but cut the vein. Lesson eternal when the giant flex with excess mass. Burn the logistics, watch the empire crash fast. Multisyllabic precision like the raid in the mist. So you flip the script, advisor turn catalyst. From Geon in the now, the stratagem persists. If you must destroy, don't swing at the fist. Pull the wood from the pot, let the whole thing desist. Remove the firewood. Fire, source of power. Born in the fire, born in the fire, born in the fire, thought process, truverack flow, strategic empire.
If you can accept losing, you can't win. Chaos is inherent in all compounded things. Strive on with diligence. If something must be destroyed, destroy the source. China is making significant efforts to develop its own advanced computer chips, particularly for applications in artificial intelligence. They are becoming quite proficient at this, and the rapid advancements are causing concern in the US, as it may threaten America's dominance in crucial technology. Rather than simply engaging in direct competition in the challenging and costly chip race, US lawmakers have introduced a proposed legislation known as the Match Act. Their focus is on the Firewood, the specialized machines and tools that China continues to import from companies like the Dutch firm ASML, among others. These are the advanced chip-making technologies that China is not yet able to produce entirely on its own. The approach isn't to directly challenge China's chip factories. Absolutely not. It's a smarter tactic. Restrict the sale of these crucial tools to China, and even cease servicing or repairing the ones they already own. China acquired a large quantity from ASML last year, approximately 1/3 of their sales. So cutting off this supply would make it much more difficult for Chinese chip makers to continue advancing swiftly. The energy for rapid progress, is taken away, and the boiling process naturally slows down. In Sudan, the ongoing conflict is like a boiling soup, with the army and the rapid support forces at odds. What keeps this turmoil simmering is not just the combatants within the nation, but also the continuous influx of external aid, including weapons, money, fuel and trade routes that flow through the Red Sea from the Persian Gulf region. According to a report from March 2026, the sudden increase in conflict involving the US, Israel, and Iran in the Persian Gulf, which started in late February, resulted in a major regional disturbance. Vessels began to avoid the risky Red Sea route, choosing instead to take the lengthy detour around Africa. Insurance rates skyrocketed, and transporting items to Sudan's ports turned into a much slower and significantly pricier endeavor. Instead of anyone directly intervening in Sudan to make the two sides halt their fighting, which would be difficult and perilous, the Gulf crisis quietly took away the fuel from the fire. The external powers that were stoking the conflict suddenly had to redirect their attention to their own safety and challenges. Countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia became busy with protecting their interests, conversing among themselves, and managing the new tensions. Consequently, there was less time, funding, and focus available for robustly supporting or supplying the factions in Sudan. The factions engaged in conflict in Sudan depend significantly on external connections for cash, arms, spare parts, and avenues to sell gold to sustain their war efforts. When disruptions occur along the Red Sea route and Gulf players narrow their focus, the smooth flow of that concealed support diminishes. Fuel becomes more challenging to import, weapon parts face delays, and the lucrative sidelines that finance the fighting begin to dwindle. Both the army, which has some ties to Iran, and the rapid support forces, which receive substantial backing from UAE-linked networks, experience the repercussions indirectly. The war doesn't conclude with a single grand battle. Rather, the core energy that sustains it diminishes from a distance. The conflict naturally cools down a little because the true source of intensity, the external support, weakens without a direct confrontation with the armies involved. That's precisely how Remove the Firewood from Under the Pot operates in this context. A larger regional conflict diverts attention and subtly deprives the Sudanese conflict of its vital strength. The pot ceases to boil as vigorously, even though no one has intervened to stir or confront it directly. Here is a 4-stage algorithm. Fighting the modern lie industry requires a shift from reactive defense, fact-checking after the fact, to proactive structural verification, using AI, knowledge graphs (KG), and small language models (SLMs). The breakdown phase. The first layer uses a small language model to act as a linguistic translator. It ignores the emotional heat of a statement, the parts meant to make a reader angry or scared. It looks only for the core assertion. If a headline says a specific person committed a specific act, the model ignores the adjectives and extracts only the names and the action. This turns a messy, manipulative sentence into a simple, 3-part statement of fact that can be measured. The reality check. This core statement is then placed against a knowledge graph. Think of this graph as a digital record of every verified relationship in the world. The algorithm looks for the person mentioned and checks their history in the record. If the claim says a person is in 2 places at once, or holds a position they never attained, the algorithm identifies a structural break. It doesn't need to know the lie is a lie. It simply sees that the claim cannot fit into the existing map of reality. The pattern of deception. The algorithm also analyzes the behavior of the source. Deception industries rely on speed and scale. They often use a hub system where one central point feeds identical information to thousands of others simultaneously. The algorithm monitors the movement of the information. Real news usually travels like ripples in a pond, moving at different speeds through different groups. Manufactured lies move like a synchronized explosion. By identifying this artificial movement, the algorithm identifies the firewood, the network of bots, and cuts them off from the main conversation. The identity verification. For deepfakes, the algorithm looks for biological noise. Every human has a unique way of moving and speaking that is consistent over time. The algorithm compares the new video against a library of verified movements for that specific person. It looks for tiny inconsistencies in the way light hits the eyes or how the pulse changes the skin tone. If these patterns don't match the historical record stored in the knowledge graph, the media is flagged as a synthetic construction. The final result. By combining these layers, the system generates a trust score. It weighs the logic of the statement, the physical reality of the media, and the honesty of the delivery network. When a claim fails these checks, the algorithm removes the firewood by deranking the source or alerting users before the misinformation can catch fire. This shifts the battle away from chasing every individual lie and toward breaking the machinery that creates them. In October 2025, Incident 1273 became a notable case when viral, AI-generated videos depicted a heist at the Louvre Museum. These videos led to a brief public panic, prompting French authorities to issue emergency statements to clarify the situation. Phase 1: Extraction. Once the video started circulating on social media, the small language model would have analyzed the content. It would have disregarded emotional phrases such as "the Mona Lisa is gone" or "massive robbery underway." Instead, it would have focused on the main assertion. An armed robbery is taking place at the Louvre Museum in Paris on October 26, 2025. This results in a clear data point that can be matched with established facts. Phase 2: Foundation testing. The algorithm would have subsequently verified this claim using a knowledge graph linked to actual infrastructure. It would have examined the official security status of the Louvre, along with local police dispatch records. If those reliable sources indicated normal operations without any emergency calls, the algorithm would have recognized a significant contradiction. It would have concluded that there was no firewood to sustain the heat of the viral video. Phase 3: Technical inspection. At the same time, the system would have examined the video file for physical accuracy. It would have compared the lighting and shadows in the video with the real weather and sun position in Paris at that specific hour, which is data kept in the knowledge graph. Additionally, it would have searched for minor errors in how the AI depicted the intricate architectural features of the museum. By determining that the video's setting did not align with the actual conditions of the museum on that day, the system would have marked the media as a synthetic creation. Phase 4: Network isolation. In the end, the algorithm would have scrutinized the video's movement across the web. In this situation, the video was advanced by clusters of newly created accounts with no history. The algorithm would have charted these connections, and realized they were not authentic users sharing news, but an automated botnet engineered to imitate a viral occurrence. By pinpointing these bot clusters as the fuel for the spread, the system could have curtailed their impact before the general public was confronted with the deception. The outcome, rather than the event turning into a worldwide news phenomenon that took hours for human officials to refute, the algorithm could have dismantled it in mere seconds. You can adopt the approach of persuading everyone important that you are equally as capable as your rival, thus establishing a level playing field. You might consider using negative campaigning that highlights the flaws of an opponent to undermine any credibility they may have established.